Today we publish a white paper on immigration, a strategy absolutely central to my plan for change that will finally take back control of our borders. Every area of the immigration system, work, family and study, will be tightened up so we have more control.
Settlement, indefinite leave to remain, permanent residence, whatever you call it, this is the golden milestone in the UK immigration journey after a continuous qualifying period of 5 years. It's the point where the restrictions end, where you can live, work, study, and access public services freely. For most people, it's also the final step before becoming a British citizen. And yet, the path to settlement is now at the heart of the UK's most controversial immigration debate in years. In 2024 alone, 162,000 people were granted settlement, a 35% increase from the previous year. This includes families, workers, and students who have transitioned into professionals. Yet the government argues that the system needs to change, claiming that too many people are reaching settlement too quickly, without what they define as enough contribution. That's why, after more than 158,000 signatures from skilled worker visa holders and another 107,000 from Hong Kong B&O families, as at the time of making this video, the UK Parliament have been compelled to take action. On September the 8th, 2025, members of Parliament will debate the government's proposal to double the indefinite leave to remain qualifying period from 5 years to 10 years, as well as to implement stricter requirements for approval. This isn't just a minor policy change. It could determine whether you secure your family's future in 5 years or face a decade of waiting under more stringent rules. Hello, we're Reese Edwards Solicitors, a UK-based immigration and family law firm with over 15 years' experience helping families, workers, and businesses navigate complex UK immigration rules to avoid costly mistakes. We're experts at turning visa refusals into approvals and are proud to have more than 1,000 5-star Google reviews. Today, I'll take you inside the petitions, inside the government's own white paper, and into the human stories behind this fight, so you'll know exactly what's at stake. Let's start with why this debate is happening. In the UK, when a petition reaches 10,000 signatures, it receives a response from the government. If it surpasses 100,000 signatures, Parliament is required to consider it for debate. This year, 2 petitions exceeded that threshold. The first petition, titled "Keep the 5-year ILR Pathway for Existing Skilled Worker Visa Holders," gathered over 158,000 signatures. And the second petition, titled "Keep 5-year ILR Terms for Hong Kong British Nationals," has gathered over 107,000 signatures. Combining both petitions amount to 265,000 signatures as of the time of this video. And to put that into perspective, that is more than the population of the entire UK cities like Cambridge and Chesterfield. These petitions represent more than just numbers. They reflect the lives of real individuals, nurses, IT professionals, care workers, business owners, and entire families who came here legally, invested their money, paid taxes, and trusted that the rules they agreed to would be honoured. Now, the government is facing accusations of trying to change the rules at the last minute. Let's take a closer look at the content of each petition. Petition 1, Skilled Worker Visa Holders. This petition says clearly, do not apply proposed 10-year ILR rule to existing skilled worker visa holders. Keep the 5-year ILR route for those already in the UK. Apply any changes only to new applicants from the date of implementation. In other words, if you came on the promise of 5 years to settlement, that promise should be honoured. Simple. Petition 2, Hong Kong B&O visa holders. The petition says, we urge the government to exempt B&O visas from the proposed reforms. We think the current ILR terms must remain unchanged. 5 years of UK residency, B1 English proficiency, and passing the Life in the UK test. B&O holders are pointing out that their visa was created during a time of crisis, and changing the rules now would amount to a betrayal of trust. So, Both petitions say the same thing: fairness, urging against retroactive punishment for those already on a legal path. To understand why these petitions exist, we need to refer to the government's own words in its May 2025 white paper titled Restoring Control over the Immigration System. Here's what it clearly states. Paragraph 259, settlement in the UK is a prerequisite for becoming a British citizen and brings lifelong benefits. Paragraph 262, settlement is a privilege and not a right. Paragraph 263, current criteria do not reflect a strongly held belief that people should contribute to the economy and society before gaining settled status. And then the big one, paragraph 264. We will increase the standard qualifying period for settlement to 10 years. Let's pause here. This isn't merely about extending the duration of stay. It fundamentally changes the definition of settlement or permanent residence in the UK. The focus is shifting from simply the duration of the time served to a system where your right to remain is based on your economic and social contributions. They refer to the concept as earned settlement. This represents a significant legal change. It indicates that 5 years is no longer sufficient. You must demonstrate your worth for 10 years before you can even apply for permanent residence. The white paper outlines exemptions, including a 5-year pathway for non-UK dependents of British citizens and victims of domestic violence and abuse. Additionally, it proposes the creation of 2 new routes. First, a route for bereaved parents of British or settled children, allowing for immediate settlement. A route for children who have grown up in the UK without legal status, including those in care, to regularize their status and settle. These are crucial safeguards. However, it is important to note who is not exempt: skilled worker visa holders, B&O visa holders, international graduates, and entrepreneurs. For these groups, the standard 10-year pathway may apply. The government isn't just planning to change the timeline for settlement from 5 years to 10 years. They are also raising the requirements for English proficiency from a B1 to a B2 level. Currently, most routes require a B1 level of English, which means the ability to engage in simple conversations on familiar topics. However, under the proposed changes, the requirements for settlement will be elevated to B2, which is significantly more demanding. This means applicants will need to understand complex text, engage in debates, and communicate fluently in most situations. For some individuals, this change may not pose a challenge. However, for thousands of others, particularly older migrants or those in manual labor jobs, this new requirement presents a significant barrier. It may require them to pay for additional courses, retake exams multiple times, and in some cases, they may even struggle to meet the new standards altogether. The most critical question right now is, will the new 10-year rule apply retrospectively to people who are already on the 5-year path? This white paper's technical annex suggests yes, it will, which means thousands of individuals who are halfway through their journey could find that their finish line has been moved twice as far. However, it's important to note that MPs still have the power to decide otherwise. This is precisely what the debate on September the 8th is about. Will members of Parliament defend migrants who have followed the rules, or will they change the term of this agreement midway? Here's what you need to do. Watch the debate on the 8th of September. Share this video with every skilled worker, B&O holder, and family affected. Leave a comment. Should the government apply the 10-year rule to people already here? Because here's the truth. Over 200,000 signatures got us this far. However, it will be the public's pressure, visibility, and our collective voice that will determine what happens next. We'll be covering the debate live and breaking down the outcome immediately afterwards. So, if this matters to you, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us as we hold the government accountable for promises made to migrants already building their lives here. Your voice has already forced Parliament to listen. Now, let's make sure they act.